I'm Liam.
And I'm Liam.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the MGM partnership that they just made with the NHL sport betting.
So currently, MGM and the NHL have just reached an agreement on their sports betting. Basically what it entails is that MGM will take analytic and data from the NHL and have the most up-to-date live betting odds. Here we are, we're going to cut to Elliot Friedman, and he'll explain a little bit more.
First of all, I can't wait until it comes to Canada so that I can become more involved in actually placing the bets. You know, right now in Canada, you can't do that. So for us up here, it's not yet as big a deal. But look, I think that anything that drives fan interest and fan engagement, as the league calls it, is a good thing. You know, the NHL, of the four major pro sports team-wise, they're the one that's bet on the least. But if you give people more opportunities to go to games and do it while they sit there. You take a look at what the Devils did. They're creating a lounge now with one of the sports books, William Hill. Now other teams will have the opportunity to do things like that. Maybe even on off nights, if you want to go somewhere and place a bet, you go to the rink, and the rink can make it as part of a, I don't know, a dinner experience, something like that. It's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the NHL and its fans. I think the other thing too is, and this is a big part of it, and it wasn't talked as much about today, is the data. What these books want is the data. And the NHL is working on puck and player tracking, and they want to have it in place for next year. And that's what a lot of these books want. They want the data. And, you know, I was talking to one guy today who knows the gambling industry pretty well, and he said, look, in the NFL, you can go to, on a big game, like for example the Super Bowl, who's going to have more running yards today, this running back or that running back? Who's going to have more passing yards today, this quarterback or that quarterback? They're going to have a better ability to create lines and spreads for that. How many shots on goal is Sidney Crosby going to have tonight? How many goals is Connor McDavid going to score tonight? Things like that. The thing that he says, what the books want is the ability to create the best lines, and that data is going to give him the opportunity to do that.
So since MGM has partnered with the NHL, the New Jersey Devils have decided to take action, and they've actually made their own sport betting lounge. This lounge, you can bet on in games live. This is primarily just for the New Jersey Devils games, and this is projected to bring in $5 million of revenue this year alone. So it's a big new project that New Jersey's bringing in. It makes more fans incorporated into the game, and it brings the game to a lot more people. So Liam, what are your thoughts on MGM's partnership with the NHL?
Well, I feel like I really hope it doesn't come to Toronto, just because we got a good thing growing right now, and it will ruin the integrity for what we have.
Yeah, maybe with the players, maybe with the referees. I don't think it would really touch that. I believe as a fan, this makes the game a lot more enjoyable to watch. You have something invested in the game that actually matters to you. Money talks. A lot of people really enjoy watching the games, even if their favorite team's not involved in it, because they got something on it.
I understand that, but think of the fan base that you're attracting. You know, you don't want some of these people coming in. You want people that are interested in the hockey, not the betting side of it.
At the end of the day, NHL is a sport. Sport's business, and business is money. People want money. This is gaining more revenue for the teams. You saw with New Jersey, they're looking at $5 million in revenue just for this lounge. It's going to grow the game to a lot more people, and at the end of the day, that's going to be really good for our sport.
I understand that. Let's see what other people's opinions on. Cameraman Kyle?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I just bet $300,000 on the Buffalo Sabres to win the Stanley Cup.
I sure hope his odds are good.
Are you sure about that one, Kyle?
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Well, what were the odds? They were probably pretty good, right?
Odds were 300 to 1.
See what I'm talking about?
He's got a chance. He's got a chance.
Yeah,
he's got a good. I think he's gonna do it.
Integrity. This is what I'm talking about.
This is a great move by Kyle. He's gonna win.
If they win,
but look,
Kyle has an inside source.
You know how
Kyle has an inside
You know how
source.
invested he's going to be into watching the Stanley Cup Final this year when Buffalo Sabres are in Game 7. He'll be jumping off like up and down and nonstop.
And then guess what? He doesn't. We're looking for a new cameraman, aren't we?
He's not that hard.
Where are we going to find
They're not that. We probably find him right on the street.
That's true.
Speaking of finding someone on the street, we're going to cut to Marina right now.
Hi, Elias. This is Marina here at the Humber Institute of Technology. I'm here with Leo today. So, Leo, what do you think about the NHL and the MGM partnership?
Well, originally I was on board with this stuff in Vegas, you know, and in fact I put all my money on Vegas last year. I put $23,000 and they choked. And now they're partnering with MGM And apparently they're not getting any of the stats. Vegas is getting everything. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. My son's tuition is gone because of this. I can't think of any words that can describe how angry I am because they're going to Vegas. I think it's an awful idea. I think the refs are going to start buying in on the games. Like in the NBA, I hate it. I think it's awful. I'm done. I can't.
Well, I wasn't expecting that reaction from someone on the street.
Yeah, I don't know about Leo after all about being our camera guy. We
Yeah.
do need to go somewhere other than just the street.
Let's hope Kyle doesn't win his money.
Oh yeah, well I mean, well, let Kyle do what he does.
We'll see what happens. But I just feel like the way that it is right now, it will ruin the integrity. Like, look at Tim Donaghy betting on sports, just ruining the integrity of the NBA, and it's really not been the same since.
I feel like Tim Donaghy was a time ago, and it's completely changed. The NHL is a different organization as well. I feel like they'll be able to stay on top of their referees.
I understand that, but really it was only about 10 or 11 years ago that this became uncovered. And you know, they had the internet back then, and they have the internet now, so people wouldn't be afraid to do it with exposure onto the internet, or compared to somewhere back in the 70s where it wasn't as connected.
Like I said, the NHL is a completely different organization than the NBA, and I feel like NHL can be on top of the officials to ensure that they're not doing this. If the officials want to do something like this, there's a bunch of other guys that'd be happy to take their spot, right? Especially even for the players, I don't believe the players are going to be affected at all. The players care way more about winning than making some extra bucks. Guys like John Deviance, they got enough money. They don't need to make some extra side money through gambling.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is, going back to Pete Rose, he was betting on his own team to add an extrinsic motivation for his team, and the problem is now he's banned from the Hall of Fame, and he's one of the greatest baseball players. So do we want to see someone like Austin Matthews or John Tavares kept out because they bet on a game here or there now that it's legal?
Well, I think that you seeing what happened to Pete Rose, these guys like Austin Matthews, John Deviance, Connor McDavid, they'd all know better than to bet. And they know to stay away from it because it can influence their career in a negative way, and it will end up just shedding a negative light on their organization and the league.
That's understandable, but I just feel like bringing in is just going to be too negative on the league, and it's just not the right move for what they're doing right now.
I think the players, just in their competitive nature, care way more about winning the game than doing anything else and worrying about any other outside distractions.
I understand that, but it's easy to say that, but then when the money gets involved, when you see a couple of extra zeros beside your paycheck along with your game check, I mean, that looks pretty good, don't you think?
I just don't think it's worth the risk of running that, because they know that the consequences involved being caught under this, it's as bad if not worse than using a PED. And you see guys not doing that either, right?
That's understandable. I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Next topic is Tom Wilson, and what should the NHL do with him?
This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.